It's not a preferable circumstance, but if the woman takes on the responsibility of financially looking after herself because the man she sees is not able, he would like to, he has the desire. If he were able, he would, but he's not able. She has the right to do that. It is not, as long as there's an agreement there, as long as he's not forcing her. And she has the right also to, at a later point in time, decide, well, listen, I'm tired of working, you will have to take care of me now. I mean, he also has to be prepared for that, because he cannot say, well, I'll marry you as long as you take care of yourself. But, if a time comes when you can't take care of yourself, well, I'll have to divorce you. This, of course, is not the acceptable basis for marriage in Islam. He has to marry her knowing that if at any time in the future she cannot or decides she does not want to look after herself, then it is his responsibility. So whether it's going to be very difficult or not, he's going to have to be prepared to take on the responsibility. If he understands that, and if he's prepared, then it is permissible for him to marry this lady. It's a second marriage. Of course, the question would normally arise with that, does he have to get permission of his wife back in the home country? Technically speaking, it is not a requirement. He does not have to get her permission. However, Islamically speaking, it is better that he does inform her. Not necessarily that he gets her permission, but that he does inform her. Because secrecy in terms of marriages, etc., this is not something liked in Islam. This is why we have the walima. The walima, which is the marriage celebration, in which the community is informed of the marriage, everybody knows they are married. But of course, if circumstances make it difficult, it makes it problematic, then, as I said, though it is not a requirement, it is something preferable to inform the first wife and to prepare her for it, so it doesn't become something which is, where she's informed and it's a very sudden shock and, it's difficult for her to deal with, etc. It's better to lead up to it, gradually. The other question that we have for today is a question which is regarding alcohol. And this question is written by the person's name is Waqar, I see, from Sharjah. Couldn't make out the writing there. Dear Dr. Bilal, Assalamu alaikum. It is always a pleasure for me to hear you on Sharjah TV. Your lecture on Islam and answers to questions are authentic, convincing, and to the point. Could you please answer this question for me? What is the good in alcohol referred to in the Quranic verse? And that is where Allah mentions with regards to alcohol, because we know from Islamic perspective alcohol is forbidden. Allah says that we should avoid it. Fajtanibu, stay away from it. But then there's another verse in the Quran in which Allah says that there is evil in alcohol and there is good. However, the evil is greater than the good. So one would then question, as Mr. Waqar's question here, what is the good in alcohol? Well, the good is, one, those people who plant grapes and their grapes are bought and crushed to make alcohol, they're making money. It earns them a living. It's beneficial to them. And of course, in Islam, it is forbidden for one to plant crops of grapes, knowing that their intention is to sell it to those who make alcohol. Now, growing grapes is halal. It's permissible in Islam. So if you're growing grapes and you're selling grapes, no problem. But if you're selling it, growing it, intending to grow it and selling it to people who you know are going to make alcohol with it, then this is forbidden. Now, so the person who grows the grapes, right, they take benefit. This is good for them. Secondly, those who prepare the alcohol, who sell it, they also make benefit. Good for them. Those who serve it in the restaurants, the clubs, whatever, those clubs, etc., they get wealth from it. It's beneficial for them. So there is good from that perspective, that there is material benefit from its production. There is also some good, which has been identified. You have doctors today in the West have said that, especially in France, doctors mentioned that half a glass of wine with the meal helps in digestion. This is good. So this represents good. So people, we raise this as an argument. Well, hey, why should alcohol then be banned if there's good in it? Well, the point is, as Allah already explained in the Quran, the evil, the harm, the sin in it is greater than the good. That's why. For that little bit of benefit we get from digestion, helping us with our digestion, can we compare that to the harm, the devastation which alcohol causes in society? It is incomparable. So that little good, is better that we give up that little good to prevent the greater harm. This is the position that Islam has taken. That's why it prohibits alcohol, because the harm far outweighs the good. The number of people's lives that are ruined, the accidents that are caused, the crime which is committed, the physical, medical harm which comes from drinking alcohol. All of this far outweighs the little good that one may find from digestion, helping in our digestion. Now, there are alcohols, rubbing alcohol, which is used, for cleaning wounds and things like this, denatured alcohol, which there is benefit from. But of course, this alcohol is not prohibited. Its use is permissible. And this is alcohol, though it is called alcohol, it's alcohol from a biological or chemical point of view. But it's not the alcohol which Islam speaks about, which is the one which people drink and get intoxicated with. This is the alcohol, you drink it, you go blind, it'll kill you. I mean, this is not for drinking, for human consumption. So that type of materials, chemical materials, which may be called it because they have the OH molecules, so they're called alcohols, they belong in the alcohol group, that is not included in the prohibited. What is prohibited is the one which is normally consumed. People drink it, they get intoxicated by it, etc. And it is prohibited in small amounts as in large amounts. As the Prophet, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, it said, whatever intoxicates in large amounts is prohibited in small amounts. So we may not use it, you have some essences which are used in the making of cake, for example, alcohol essences which are put in, give it flavor, etc. No, we're not allowed to use this. In Islam, anything which is from that group of the prohibited forms of alcohol, we're not allowed to use in any of its forms. So, when we speak of good and evil, and we find that the evil far outweighs the good, then that good is of no real value. It's a general principle in Islamic law that in attaining some good, if in doing so we cause massive evil which far outweighs the good we're trying to achieve, then that good should not be embarked upon. One should not seek that good. It is no longer truly good anymore. The harm far outweighs the good. And this is the same thing which governs principles, for example, of women's dress. A woman, when she covers herself, she's not able to show her finery and her beauty. And she enjoys and feels good when she shows her finery and beauty. But the harm which comes to her in the society from displaying herself, when we look at the rise in rape, violent crimes against women, etc., over the centuries, where women, generally speaking, have now reduced their clothing, exposed themselves, and the harm that has come, this far outweighs the pleasure that the woman gets from exposing herself, from people looking at her, feeling, good about herself. Of course, Islam doesn't restrict her within the confines of her home, in the presence of her family, where she's safe, where her exposing herself is not going to create harm, right? So, always, as a general principle in Islam, what is prohibited is whatever is of great harm, where the harm far outweighs any good or any small portions of good that may also be in that particular thing. With that, dear viewers, I'd like to thank you for being with us in this segment of the program, In the Light of Islam. And if you have any questions you'd like to write in, or any comments you'd like to share, or even your general encouragement, we're only too glad to hear from you. You may write to me, Dr. Bilal Phillips, In the Light of Islam, Sharjah Television, UAE, P.O. Box 111, Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.